Welcome in.
Welcome to the Arrowhead Addict podcast.
We are here coming to you live.
The Kansas City Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. You only win a Super Bowl 2 times every 5 years, right? Oh! The warm-up act is over. Let's bring in Melissa Etheridge, massive Chiefs fan. Melissa,
Super Bowl champion, 2-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
and he picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna score! And we'll see you next week, but until then, as always, go Chiefs.
Welcome into the Arrowhead Addict pregame show. I am Sterling Holmes, joined by Patrick Allen as the Chiefs. Hey, host the Bills. Bills need this to keep their playoff hopes alive while the Chiefs are trying to do everything possible to get that 1 seed. Patrick, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well, man. I'm doing pretty well. It's a big game. I'm excited for it. But if you look along the landscape right now, there's some things maybe going in the Chiefs' favor. It's the 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. The Rams are down by 1 point against the Ravens with the ball, so they got a chance to knock off Baltimore, help the Chiefs out. If the Chiefs can take care of their business, they could be fighting back for that number 1 seed again.
Yeah, then you look around, the Texans are getting their ass kicked by the Jets as Zach Wilson is looking like a Hall of Fame quarterback today for some odd reason. Yeah, who would have thought maybe Zach Wilson's not the issue? Maybe it's the absolute disaster that is the New York Jets, but we don't care. Talking about disasters, that's what the Bills season has been so far. You know, they went all in the past couple off seasons. They're very old on defense. You look at Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde, both 32 years old. I laugh and say Tre'Davious White's only 28, but he's going on 32. He's been injured, perpetually banged up. Then Von Miller's not been the same Von Miller. They're older. They're not young anymore. They went all in, and yet here they sit at 6-6. Their back is against the wall. You see the comments coming back up from resurfacing from Sean McDermott from a few seasons ago, perplexing, confusing. There's a lot of unrest, it feels like, surrounding this team right now. How do you think the Bills respond as they go into Arrowhead?
I think they're going to respond. I know there's a lot of distractions and things around the Bills right now, and they're having a lot of strife, but this is a veteran team, as you mentioned, and they've got pretty good leadership there on that team with Josh Allen. I think they all look to him. He's a quarterback you want to have on your team, right? Somebody who's not afraid to go out there, run the ball, put his head down. He's a good leader. It's just that they've got up and down plays. So they could have, I'm not saying that them coming together means they're going to play great today against the Chiefs, but what I'm saying is they're a veteran team. I think they're going to give it their best shot. And it could be one of those games because they're Jekyll and Hyde where they perform great or they perform poorly. But I don't think they're going to be a team that just completely crumbles, because it's just like a horrible, toxic culture and all that stuff. Like, they like Sean McDermott. I think they're going to rally. It's just going to be a really interesting game, man. I'm expecting a knockdown drag out.
Yeah. See some stuff right here. What's the status on Nick Bolton? Here we go. I will give you the inactive list. Nick Bolton should be good to go as Drew Tranquill is actually out, did not make it past concussion protocol. So no Drew, no Isaiah Pacheco, which means a heavy dose of Clyde, which we will get to in just a moment. No Nick Jones, no BJ Thompson. Donovan Smith is out with that neck, which means Wanya Morris is getting tabbed to be the starter. No Neil Farrell or Malik Herring. So again, the biggest surprise is no Drew Tranquill with the concussion, no Donovan Smith with the neck, and no Isaiah Pacheco. He hurt his same shoulder that he got surgery on in the offseason. It was a re-aggravation of that shoulder. So he'll be missing this game. So let's start there with with Isaiah Pacheco being out. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he is going to be the guy. I mean, they obviously activated Deneric Prince. He's now on the 53. Jerick McKinnon is back in this game as well. But with Jerick McKinnon, he's coming off of a multi-game absence with that groin injury. I wonder how much he's even going to play in this one. So that leaves the Chiefs no option but to have a heavy dose of Clyde. One positive here. His best game in his career came against the Bills. Now, that was a couple of seasons ago, but let's try to be optimistic here. What are you expecting from Clyde being the top back in this one?
Look, I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire he's a replacement level back. It's not a knock on him. It's just what he has been so far in his NFL career. And I think this is a game where Clyde will give you exactly what the defense allows him to take. Probably not more, maybe occasionally less, because I think there at times have been some field vision issues with Clyde. But we've also, when the Chiefs have been run blocking well, when they have a game plan to run the ball, we've seen Clyde run pretty well. So I just don't think the running game is going to be a big focal point for the Chiefs in this one. They're going to need to run the football, but I think we'll see Clyde in on early downs, and he'll get a few handoffs here and there. And I think they'll bring in Jerick McKinnon and not really use him a ton. I could be wrong on this. They know his stats, but I think that they'll use him more as a blocker. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a lot of snaps. The story of the game for me in this one is Wanya Morris at the left tackle spot. He stepped in a couple times here, and he's done a nice job, but there's a reason why he went in the third round. Now, the good news is the Chiefs think Wanya Morris can be their potentially starting left tackle of the future. They just wanted a season to work with him, work with the offensive line coaches, and get better. He's going to get trial by fire today. I'm glad he's at home and not on the road, but I expect the Bills to have Von Miller over there, trying to wreak havoc, take advantage of the young fella. And Andy Reid's smart. He's a veteran coach. They're going to be chipping with tight ends. They're going to have Jerick McKinnon in there, giving him a little bit of help. Joe Tooney knows that he's got a rookie over there. So don't be surprised if they're sliding help over to that side. And that's going to put some stress on Jawan Taylor in this game. So not to go on a whole offensive line analysis tirade here, but watch out for Jawan Taylor and the holding penalties in this game, because I think he's going to be left on an island a little bit more than usual.
Raymond, I really appreciate that super chat. I'm going to get to that in 1 second. That's very, very kind. But I want to stick here with CEH before I transition into Wanya Morris, a little deeper dive with you here. Yeah. So with CEH, I'm with you. He's a replacement level back. I think some of the hate is obviously based on where he was drafted. We're not going to get into this whole story. We all know I was not a fan of the draft pick. This, that, and the other doesn't matter. It's a sunk cost. He is going to be the guy in this game. I think 12 carries, around 60 yards, a touchdown on the ground. That's what I'm expecting from him. A good game, a solid game. We're not talking 100-plus yards. We're also not talking a game where you're sitting here going, wow, they could not get anything going on the ground. I think 12 carries for 60 makes a lot of sense. 1 touchdown. He's ran pretty hard ever since he seemingly has gained a little bit of that weight, right? Ever since he started to look like Eddie Lacy, he started to run like Eddie Lacy. I will also point out, I think they run to Wanya Morris's side a little more in this game.
I think so too. He's looked really good run blocking.
Yeah, I know PFF was not a huge fan of Wanya Morris in the run game. Again, I always say with PFF, and maybe this is me, I'll use PFF when it helps my case. I will say it's a bunch of bull when it goes against me. But I think they were wrong in this one. I thought Wanya Morris actually struggled a little more in pass protection. Was actually better in run blocking. If you look at Seth Kaiser's review, love Seth Kaiser. I know there's a lot of Chiefs fans here probably that know Seth very well. He wrote a great breakdown on Wanya Morris, charting every single one of his snaps. He was solid, man, and he kind of came with the same conclusion. Very solid as a run blocker. You see a little nasty in there. I wonder if we will see Clyde run left a little more towards his side. That to me makes sense. I'll touch on Wanya Morris in the offensive line in just a moment. I do want to get to that super chat from Raymond, since that was very, very kind to you. Says, in Mississippi with my 89-year-old mom, she loves the Chiefs. She says Sterling is cute but looks so young. Shout out to Raymond's grandma. Thank you. You guys are always so kind. I'm glad you're down there with her. Makes my heart happy.
No love for me from Raymond's grandma. Not only do you look cute, and you look young. So meanwhile, I'm over here looking like an old catcher's mitt. It's bad news. It's bad news for me.
I actually just cleaned out my old catcher's mitt. I got my nice Rawlings 11 1/4-inch shortstop glove and my catcher's mitt, but we don't care about that right now. Wanya Morris, though, is a guy, again, I want to tab and touch on a little more. So we know he's good in run blocking, at least what we saw in game 1. You mentioned it. The Chiefs would have liked to have him sit 1 year, use Donovan Smith. He is the fill-in for the season, if you will. We know he's not the future. He's the fill-in while Wanya gets his feet wet. Well, he's going headfirst now against a Buffalo Bills team. While their defense has not been great, there's some veterans on that team, and they will try and test him early. How do you think he handles that? How do you think Wanya Morris, I know you touched on it a little bit there, but overall, how do you think Wanya Morris handles it in comparison to a Donovan Smith?
Yeah, so look, I mean, he's a rookie, and he's a rookie really making his first start. He's got a little bit of action. It's been great that he's comported himself well, but it's a little bit different, right? When you're on the sideline and somebody goes down and you got to come in and you got to do some spot snaps, as opposed to here's the Buffalo Bills who have had an entire week and they know that you're going to be playing, and they've got, they can dial up some things that might not work on Donovan Smith, but might confuse you, some stunts and some corner blitzes and some things like that to cause a little bit of confusion. We had Wanya on the show over the summer, and I asked him specifically, what is it that you need to work on to kind of be ready to be an every down NFL player? And he just said for him it was consistency. If you look at his prospect profile on NFL.com by Lance Zierlein, does a really great job with these. If you're ever curious about a player, NFL.com, just Google their name and prospect profile, NFL.com. It's a wealth of knowledge. They scout almost everybody in the draft, and you can get some kind of quick hits, some tape and things like that. What he listed as weaknesses for Wanya were struggling with pad level and angles and making cutoff blocks, needing to lower his aim and landing zone for hand placement, and getting knocked backwards by opponent with firm hands. So if you're the Bills and you're seeing that same type of thing on tape, you're going to see guys coming at him high, trying to get him off balance, trying to take advantage of some of his weaknesses. So those are the things that the Chiefs are going to have to worry about with him. But I think he'll do okay, because just like the Bills have had a whole week to plan for the fact that Wanya Morris is going to be in there, so has Andy Reid and Matt Nagy and the Chiefs offensive staff. Like I said earlier, I think you'll see a ton of help over on that side. You'll see chips, and they'll also probably take advantage of the fact that they are going to want to attack Wanya Morris. So don't be surprised if you see some screens set up where Wanya Morris lays a guy and lets everybody upfield, particularly early in the game on the Chiefs' first drive.
That is a very, very astute observation there, Patrick. I like that call. In regards to the Chiefs' wide receivers, who steps up? Who do you think makes an impact in this one? I do want to touch on something very quickly. We've not had a chance to discuss the Marquez Valdes-Scantling comments, right? I know those were going and making the rounds on the X. But I will say, I think the question, quite frankly, I think we should be able to be honest with ourselves and say the question was not ideal. They were trying to get a rise from MVS, in my opinion. I think the question could have been handled a lot better, right? As well as some of the follow-ups. They were trying to get a rise from MVS, and then MVS just basically went full on, what are you talking about? Going to make him say it. It was a poor look on both parties. Not a great look, though, on MVS when you are the highest paid wide receiver on the team, obviously. So I get the frustration bubbling over on all parties here. Where do you think the Chiefs go and look towards this game? Is obviously Rashee Rice is there. We know he's the guy that the Chiefs look for, but besides him, they need to get a wide receiver 2 going. Is it Justin? Is it MVS? Is it Kadarius Toney finally starting to break out, getting more snaps? Who do you think it is?
Well, just to the first point of what you said, the question and I don't know PJ, but when I watched the clip back of MVS, I didn't have a problem with the line of questioning. I did think it could be a little bit more clear and direct. I thought the question kind of danced around the struggles of MVS, saying like what's been going on this year, and then MVS, maybe feeling a little frustrated, kind of lashed out a little bit and was like, well, "What do you mean?" I think going just kind of straight at the point, which is if PJ's doing his job. Hey, man. You've been facing some criticism from analysts and fans about your play not being the level it was last year. How do you feel about that? Are you hearing that noise? And if so, like, what are you doing to correct it? Like, just go straight in there and ask him the direct question. That's your job. You're a reporter, and MVS, he may have probably just responded in the same way. Like, I don't hear all that noise. I don't agree with it and stuff. But it does frustrate fans when they feel like a player is not taking accountability, where meanwhile, Patrick Mahomes goes up there and there's 50 drops in a game and Mahomes is blaming himself, right? That's what a leader does, and that's what Mahomes' job is. As far as who's going to step up for the Chiefs, I wish I could pull a name out of a hat for you and say it's going to be this person, but I just honestly think it's going to be more of the same. They're going to keep rotating guys in. MVS's snaps might start to go down a little bit, but you're going to see some of Watson. You're going to see some gadget plays with Tony. For whatever reason, it doesn't seem like they trust Tony to go out there and be a regular wide receiver. So until they actually do it, I'm not going to predict that he's going to step up. If anybody is going to emerge from that group, it's got to be Watson. Like, he's the only one that's been like semi-consistent for them. And if they're fed up with the lack of production from MVS and he effectively gets benched in this game, we'll see. Then Watson would be the logical person to take most of his snaps and thus have chances to get production.
Before I get to mine, I love this super chat from Tungsten. Thank you. You're awesome. Always appreciate you. You're here every single week and every pregame. This is a good one here. Here's a super chat for you to read, Sterling. His mom thinks you're cute, but I do not. Let's go, Chiefs.
Appreciate that, Tungsten. Make me feel a little better. By the way, I saw Raymond say his grandma said, was his mother or was his grandma? Mom. His mom said, life's not fair to me, in my response, get used to it. And that's the kind of 80-year-old knowledge and wisdom that we need. That is, and somebody could tell that to Marquez Valdes-Scantling and Justin Reed this week. Life's not fair. Suck it up. You get paid millions of dollars. Maybe stay off Twitter.
I do wonder, realistically, if we start seeing more Richie James. This is not just my fandom of Richie James trying to shine through, but this is a fact that later on in that game, he brought in a nice reception, made a guy miss, that nice slant route, and then he carried a guy for a first down. I wonder if we do see more Richie James. You know, he obviously was on the IR for a long period this season, so he's starting to get back in the flow of things as well. Richie James, to me, makes some sense. Not only the fact that it's a new face, but he can play some outside, right? He got separation when he was with the Giants. That was with Daniel Jones throwing him the ball. They trusted him, even with dudes almost keyed in on him at the second half of the season for New York. I wonder if, Sky Moore is a slot receiver. They keep putting him on the outside. It's not working. To an extent, I don't hate Sky Moore. I think they're putting him in a bad spot because he's a slot receiver who's being forced to play on the outside. When you are not put in the correct position to succeed, you're going to struggle. Now, again, I'm not saying he shouldn't have continued his route on the interception, this, that, and the other, but I do think they're not using Sky in the best possible scenario because Rashee Rice has been so good in the slot. So what does that leave you with? Justin Watson and MVS. Both dudes have struggulled. So give me some Richie James. Try it. What's the worst that happens?
Yeah, I'm with you. What really surprised me, you guys may not remember this, but right before the trade deadline, which wasn't that long ago, by the way, there were reports that the Chiefs were trying to trade Richie James. And when I heard it, I was like, hang on a second. I know he's been injured and he hasn't really played. But they were using him in that first game of the season when Kelsey was out against the Lions. And he looked really good. He flashed in the preseason for them. And they kept him on the roster. Like, they kept a lot of receivers on the roster. And one of those receivers was Richie James. They were using him in the return game. And so when I heard that they were trying to trade him, I was flabbergasted because at that point you got Justin Ross with a domestic violence thing and like he's off the table and the Sky Moore's not catching the ball at all, not getting open. MVS is dropping it when he does. Like, why would you be trying to trade Richie James? Like, was there somebody else you wanted to pick up that is going to be better than Richie James, who's been with your team through training camp? Like, I'm with you. It's that point where, okay, you know what you've got here. You've seen enough Sky Moore, and this season you've seen enough of MVS. I'll always love MVS for what he did for this team last year in the AFC Championship game. He helped them win a Super Bowl. That was last year. This is this year. His performance last year doesn't matter. His performance this year has not been what the Chiefs need from him. And you've got a guy in Richie James who, as you pointed out, has produced a little bit in the NFL and has some talent. Why not give him a go? Why not put him in that Sky Moore role in this game and see what the guy can give you? The worst that can happen is that he gives you what Sky Moore has been giving you, which unfortunately is next to nothing. Like he'll get you like 2 yards for 2 catches for 15 yards. Like that's a typical Sky Moore stat line. And it's almost, frankly, it's almost as likely an occurrence of a 0 catch stat line for Sky Moore. So why not? The Sky Moore stuff, it doesn't seem like it's going to change. You're not seeing progress, right? You want to see, like, even if a guy's underperforming, you want to see them like slowly start to develop. Like, oh, like, I said he ran a really great route there. He's regressing from last year.
Yeah.
He's not giving you anything. Try the other guy.
Love this comment from Michael Donegan. D-Rob finally doing something good for us as Demarcus Robinson catches a go-ahead touchdown for the Rams as they take a 28-23 lead over the Ravens. 2 catches, 27 yards on 7 targets, and 1 horrendous missed block. Yeah, that's the D-Rob we know and love. But again, the touchdown, thank you for helping out the Kansas City Chiefs, and hopefully that score holds true to help the Chiefs as they try and position themselves for the 1 seed yet again. Question from Tungsten says, wonder if Ross will be back. Those charges were cleared, right? My understanding is it was a 6-week NFL mandated games missed. He has to give those game checks back, but he's already missed 5 games. Now, I don't know off the top of my head, so I apologize. I've not looked at it before this show. Wasn't planning on hitting on Justin Ross. I don't know if the Bills game is game 5 or game 6. Whenever the 6th game is over for him, he's allowed to come back. So this is game 6. So he could potentially be back next week. I will say it's not like he was doing a ton before.
But they weren't using him. I mean, we
sure,
were all
but
here begging them to put him on the field.
Hey,
so,
but we saw him in the red zone. What happened? He looked befuddled. He looked confused. He looked bewildered. It was not a good look.
He's basically a rookie. Like, again, this goes back to the point we just made. And like the domestic violence stuff, like I don't know enough to have a fully formed opinion on that about what happened. So I'm talking ball right here. If he's a domestic abuser, I want his ass cut. But if he's not, then, or it's got whatever. We're talking ball. Not that stuff. With him, you see the talent. I think he can be a useful red zone threat for them, at least right away. That fade route that they ran to Sky Moore that they never should have ran in the first place, especially to a receiver like Sky Moore, that is a Justin Ross route all the way. Like that's a great first down play with him because of his size and his ability to go up and get the ball. We've seen him do it before. So if they can get him back in the fold, great, man. Throw the ball to Rashee Rice. Keep using Tony as your gadget guy if that's what you want to do. Replace MVS with Watson and start working in Ross in certain situations where you think, hey, here's a matchup advantage for us. We can put this guy. He's a big guy. He's got great ball skills. Pat can throw the ball up and let him high point it, and maybe he goes and he scores 4 touchdowns for you down the stretch. Why not?
Yeah, because the Chiefs known for throwing up high point balls to.
They don't have anybody to do
that.
What
they're known. Yeah, because MVS is 6'4" and
the alligator arms.
No, okay, no, it's fine.
When do you remember MVS high pointing a ball ever?
I remember John Baldwin doing it one time, pinning it on the back of a dude's jersey, and it was, I believe, a penalty, so it was called back. Didn't matter. But who cares about that? Because the Chiefs are playing the Bills. I'm going to talk about the defense now. Stephon Diggs, obviously a massive story. It feels like perpetual unrest with him. The organization feels like there's just a little unease, but that does not matter because when it is Sunday or Monday or Thursday, whenever they play, he seemingly is always on the same page as Josh Allen. I'm expecting personally to see a lot of L'Jarius Sneed on Stephon Diggs. He's one of the best route runners in the NFL, not quite as big as a A.J. Brown. Do you think it's going to be L'Jarius Sneed following him, or do you trust almost a hybrid of L'Jarius and Trent McDuffie? Because McDuffie, while a little smaller, seemingly doesn't have the massive size difference as he would going up against A.J. Brown.
I would expect that Sneed will follow Stephon Diggs. I mean, that's been the MO so far this year when they go up against a marquee receiver. He did it with Justin Jefferson. I think it makes sense for them to do that because what they've been trying to do to these types of players is use Sneed's physicality and size to have him get up on the line and maul these guys and knock off their timing. And then trusting their guys in the back end in case something goes wrong. And he's done a fantastic job of that. Steve Spagnuolo, every time the Chiefs have played the Bills, has generally done a really great job of shutting down Stephon Diggs. He's like, let anybody else beat us. This guy's not going to do it. That's why we saw Gabe Davis have the game of his life in the playoffs. Credit to Gabe Davis. He had an incredible game. So, in this game, I expect more of the same. So what you should be watching out for is Trent McDuffie on Gabe Davis, or Trent McDuffie on that wide receiver Shakir that they like, that does a nice job for them. I wouldn't be surprised. Those two will probably be the leading receivers for the Bills in this game. And the sneaky thing that I'm worried about is Cook out of the backfield. They when they were struggling a little bit earlier in the season, they were not using Cook as much as they should have been. But he's the brother of Dalvin Cook. He's a good runner, and he can catch the ball out of the backfield. I think, and I've watched a lot of Bills games this year, I think that offense is at their best when they're utilizing their running game. And when they just drop back and throw all the time, which is what they were doing a little bit earlier in the season, they just get super predictable. So when they're more balanced, they're more dangerous. And that should concern Chiefs fans, because they have been more balanced the last couple of weeks after they made they made a coordinator change, I believe. So we're going to have to see how the Chiefs deal with it, because they went up against a balanced team last week and the Packers, and they did not do well.
Yeah, they also will be getting Dalton Kincaid some help at tight end, as Dawson Knox will be back. Dawson Knox, of course, has been out a large chunk of the season. Kincaid's done a great job, by the way. Dalton Kincaid's been electric, their rookie tight end. Very, very talented. But as everyone knows, when teams play the Chiefs, all of a sudden, guys that were questionable, guys that were injured, they suit up, right? We know that. It's seemingly every single week. Dudes who seemingly might be doubtful, they're going to play. Dawson Knox is active for this game. Those two tight end sets, depending on how much they run out of 12 personnel, the Bills, that makes me a little nervous, because those are two very good receiving tight ends. Again, no Drew Tranquill, but Nick Bolton is back. As far as the linebackers go, where do you land here? And Nick Bolton, he had a week when he was activated off of the IR, right? The Andy Reid special. You have that 3-week window when you get activated off of the IR. He had the first week of practice. Now he's back this time. Do you think he's 100%? Right? Do you think he's going to be the same Nick Bolton that we saw when he's healthy, flying around out there, getting downhill and bringing down the running back?
Well, when you're coming off an injury like this in the NFL, they just probably don't really have the luxury to let anybody get 100% before they come back. But like in NFL terms, yeah, I would say so. One thing the Chiefs do pretty well, I think, is they're careful with guys. They know that they're really talented, and they know they can overcome a loss here and there. And some other teams are desperate, and they're not able to do that. Well, the Chiefs are usually. And so I think that they've taken the stance over the last few years. If a guy's hurt, they'll get him back. They'll get him practicing for a week. They won't rush him out there. And they knew they had Drew Tranquill in there, and so they could allow Nick Bolton the time to rest. Now they need Nick Bolton back, so I think he's probably in pretty good shape. The Chiefs, there is a bit of luck when it comes to the whole attrition and injury thing, but the Chiefs, knock on wood, have been generally pretty good. And I think it's a tribute to their training staff and their patience with bringing guys back and their talent level. So, yeah, I think Bolton's going to be good. He's going to be really, really important to this game, especially if the Bills – look, if the Bills can run Cook and Allen, it just opens up everything. It makes them really hard to defend. So you're looking at those linebackers and specifically Nick Bolton and Willie Gay Jr. and being like, you guys are the key to us having success on defense today, because if you can do your job, it's going to make the guys, not only the guys in front of you, not have to worry too much, but the guys behind you as well. Willie Gay Jr.'s athleticism, huge against Josh Allen, not letting him turn that corner when he likes to run the ball. And these guys have played the Bills a lot, so there's no surprises for them. I'm feeling pretty good about the defense's chances for a bounce back game here.
Yeah. I'll tab my offense and defensive player. I'll let you get yours. Offensively, I'm going to say CEH is a guy I'm looking for. I don't think he has the biggest impact necessarily. He's not going to be as big as Travis Kelce, obviously Mahomes. I think Creed Humphrey and the interior three do a great job. But I'm going to go CEH, 12 carries, 62 yards, and a touchdown. I'll say 3 receptions for 24. 3 receptions, 20. I just want to see how I do here. Gonna make a little offensive note here. 3 receptions, 24 yards. And then defensively, I'm looking at Willie Gay Jr. As you mentioned, I think his athleticism against Josh Allen is going to be huge. If they want to use a spy, he would be the guy that I would use a spy because of his ability to get downhill, his ability to be the most athletic linebacker on this Chiefs roster, right? He started off the season very strong. And I'm sitting here going, the Chiefs will not be able to afford to keep Willie Gay Jr. around. And in the last couple weeks, he's been okay, not been bad, but he hasn't really stood out to me. This is a game where Willie Gay Jr. has to stay to stand out, especially with no Drew Tranquill. Tranquill kind of made some of what Willie Gay Jr. does redundant, right? Because Drew Tranquill is such a good player in pass coverage as well as such a good chess piece, being able to get downhill and sack the quarterback. Willie Gay Jr. has to have a big game in this one for the defense to get right.
Yeah, 100%. I'm with you on your pick of Willie Gay Jr. on the defensive side of the ball. I already mentioned it. Use that athleticism. Try to keep Josh Allen in the pocket. No arm tackles from this defense with him. That's deadly. He's a big guy. It's not going to work. Two players for me. On the offensive side of the ball, I'm going to go with Joe Thuney. He's huge in this one because of Wanya Morris and the position that he's in. Making sure Wanya Morris knows what to do, helping him, all that stuff. Joe Thuney knows to his right, he's got Creed Humphrey. So he's feeling really good about that. Creed Humphrey knows to his right, he's got Smith. So, Thuney being able to help out Wanya Morris in this game is, I think, going to be absolutely crucial for the Chiefs because they've been struggling on offense. And the last thing they need, I'm way more worried about a rookie left tackle right now than I am about CEH coming in for Pacheco. They can't have penalties. They can't have holds. They can't have blown, blocks and bad sacks if they're going to keep, get this offense back on track. By the way, 3rd and 17, Baltimore on the Rams 21. So 3rd and 17, big play coming up there. On the defensive side of the ball, I'm going to go with Chris Jones in this one. This is a Chris Jones game. Big Chris Jones. Yes, the whole defense is great. They've got good players, McDuffie and Snead and Karlaftis has been coming along. But the game wrecker that you have on that defense, the Hall of Famer that you have on that defense is Christopher Jones. If he starts wreaking havoc up the middle, it's going to mess up everything the Bills want to do. It can lead to turnovers, all that stuff. This is like a playoff game for both of these teams, in my opinion. Some might say not as crucial for Kansas City. Throw that out the window, man. Number 1 seed, not having to play an extra game in the playoffs. This is the one. You got to have this one, and I think he shows up today.
Yeah, I like this actually from Jesus Perez. 15 will run for sure today as far as Mahomes using his legs. I think that's actually a pretty good call here. I think Mahomes will use his legs to pick up a ton of crucial 3rd down. Score prediction time before we go down. I'm going to my man cave, turning the TV on, sitting my ass down on the couch, and hopefully rooting on a Chiefs victory. I'm going 23-21. Okay, my head says 23-21 Bills win this game because they have more at stake, but my heart says 23-21 Chiefs, and I'm going to go with my heart, baby. I'm a lover. Over here. Give me the Chiefs winning by 2.
I love you. Bad news. Touchdown, Ravens. Lamar Jackson to Zay Flowers on 3rd and 17. Good news. There's a minute 16 left, and the Rams have 2 timeouts, so they're going to have to take it down the field there. I picked against the Chiefs on Thursday. Nothing has happened to make me change my mind to this point. I'm hoping that's a good thing because usually when I barely ever pick against Chiefs, and usually when I do, they win. So put a clown suit on me, which I'm happy to wear. I believe I had this one 28-21, the Bills. Right now, I just don't have the confidence in the Chiefs offense. Yeah, boo to me, thumbs down to Patrick Allen. I just don't have the confidence in this offense right now. And I'm worried about the Wanya Morris left tackle situation. So hopefully I'm wrong and the Chiefs fix some things and start getting out of their own way and stop with the penalties and stop with the bad turnovers and take care of business in this one. But this is a show that, you said, I believe in one of our last podcasts, it's Missouri. It's the show me state. Show me you're back. And after the way you played against Green Bay, you've got to show me.
Love it, Patrick. You know what? Tough but fair. You even pulled my own quote out to just rub it in my face. Appreciate that one, Patrick. Thank you to everyone here in the chat. We'll be back at halftime. Everyone, go get ready. Get some chips. Crack open a cold one, whether that's a beer, a water, a Gatorade, a soft drink, whatever you want. But we'll be back at halftime. This was the Arrowhead Addict pregame show. Until then, we are out.